Hey, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the Soulution Live Show. I'm your host, Jody Almond, and this is the show where my desire is to take you from your struggle to your success in whatever area of your life. It may be your personal life, your faith-based life. It could even be your professional life. And I want you to live the rest of your life as the best of your life. And so I'm glad to have you with me today. And on this week of Holy Week, I am discussing many aspects, keeping in the same flow of what I normally do, but I'm discussing in many aspects the last week of Jesus' life. And as a faith-based person, as a pastor of over 20 years, it's part of my divine design. It's part of my DNA. It's part of who I am. And so I want to share this with you. And usually on Tuesdays, I try to share some kind of time management tip or time management technique or teaching on time management. And today is no different because, you know, as I was looking at the final week of Jesus's life, I want you to consider this. If you knew it was your last week, if you knew you were going to die in 7 days, what would you do? How would you spend it? Where would you spend it? Who would you spend it with? You see, we learn a lot from Jesus because we could always say that, oh, well, you know, during his first year of ministry, second year of ministry, third year of ministry, you know, momentum was picking up and he was busy and he was doing these things. But what about during your last week? What about during your last days? I mean, what do you do? Well, today I want to share with you some ways Jesus spent his time that I believe is imperative for us as people of faith to learn from in his last week of life. First of all, you find that Jesus spent time with the Father. Now, if you were with me in the last episode, you know that I talked about the importance of prayer and how prayer is essential to success. Well, Jesus teaches us that concept here again today as we find that he spent time with the Father. As a matter of fact, you find him not only praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, but praying throughout the week. The Bible alludes to that many times and shows us that Jesus would wake up very early in the morning while it was still dark, and he would spend time with God. I believe what he's showing us is that we need to get up early and spend time with God. Now, listen, I'm not telling you if you work the night shift that you have to get up early in the morning. What I'm saying is spend some time in the first part of your day with God every day. If the first part of your day is at 5 a.m., that's wonderful. If the first part of your day is at 5 p.m., that's wonderful. Because we find in Jesus's last week of his life, one of the things he prioritized, actually his priority was to spend time with his Father, connect to the Creator. Number two, we find Jesus worked. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a possibility, it's very plausible, that if I knew this was my last week on earth and I was going to die, if I had that foreknowledge, I may not feel like working, right? I may feel like, you know, there's only so many hours left. I want to make sure I cross off everything on my bucket list. And I don't know that work is part of that, but you find that Jesus is still ministering. He's still working. Why? Because it's his purpose. And this is so vital, my friend, because we find that he talks about, I've come to do my Father's will. I've come to do the will of him that sent me. Not my will, Lord, but yours be done. We find that God is so in tune. Jesus is so in tune with the Father's will that he's constantly doing it, even up to his death, literally. On the cross, he's fulfilling the obligation. He's fulfilling not just the obligation, that may not be the right word, but he's fulfilling what he came to do. That is, give his life as a ransom for humanity. And so when we consider that, we have to look at it and say, well, Jesus has this last week, he has limited time on this earth as a human being. How does he spend it? Well, he spends time with God. He spends time working in his purpose for God. And then we find that he took time to help others. Now, if you know anything about Jesus last week on earth and how he managed his time, you know that he had some very dear friends of his, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus has died. Mary and Martha has reached out to him. Now, Jesus could have easily said, guys, I don't have much time left here. I'm going to be dying myself very soon, and I just don't have time for this. But no, Jesus makes sure that when someone needs him, he makes time for them. And he goes to the tomb of Lazarus, and he does ministry, working for the Father. He spent time praying with the Father, and now he does a miracle and raises Lazarus from the dead, even going to their house and eating with them. So you find that Jesus makes time for others. And what we can learn from this so far is we should spend time with God daily. I believe we should start our day with God. Adam did in the garden. Jesus did here in the Bible. And what we find is we should be working for God all the time, right? Fulfilling our purpose, spending time working. And when I say working for God, realize you may be sitting there saying, Jody, I'm not a missionary. I'm not a pastor. I'm not working in the church. No, but if you're working in your purpose, then you're working for the one who created you. You're fulfilling the purpose for which you were created. So you're working for God. And I believe that that comes every day. Even when you're not on a job making a paycheck, you're still in the flow of fulfilling your purpose once you get there. And then we need to make time for other people. I mean, let's be honest. This life isn't about us. It's about helping others. It's about serving others. Jesus himself at this point in his existence, we find that he comes to earth and he says that I'm here to serve, not to be served. I'm here as a lamb, not as the lion. And so we need to take a lesson from that and understand there's times in our life where we're here to serve. And let's serve other people through our purpose, through our giftings. And then we find that Jesus spent time with those that he loved. Think about the Last Supper. Jesus says to them, I've come to spend time with you. I want to spend time with you. I want to have this meal with you. He has conversation with them over the meal. He's not in a rush. He has conversation. He takes time again to serve. He girds himself and serves them, then washes their feet. Now, I'll tell you, if you don't know this about me, I think feet are gross and nasty. I do. I'm just being honest. Maybe babies' feet are okay. Other than that, they're gross and they're nasty. And I ain't into washing nobody's feet, but I have. I have to show my humility. But here's what I want you to know, is that Jesus shows us here that what's important. There's 5 areas of life that are important. He says it's important to spend time with God in prayer and communication. It's important for us to work through our purpose. It's important for us to serve others and be there for others. It's important for us to spend time with those we love. I've shared many times with you how that I've sat beside the bedside of many people who are passing. And one of the things I hear so often is, I wish I would have spent more time with my family, with those I love. And what we find in that is that it's very relevant and it's very real. And Jesus is saying here, I wish I would have spent time with those I love, and I did. The last thing we find Jesus doing is Jesus rested. Now, again, think about this. This is his last week on earth. Wouldn't you and I probably be like, there's no time to rest. I'm getting ready to die. I'll rest forever. There's no time to rest now. I've got so much to accomplish, so many things to do, but Jesus rested. Even in his last week, he rested. As a matter of fact, most Bible commentators agree that on Wednesday of the week of Holy Week, they can't really find any activity. There's no writings. There's nothing to be done. And they believe that Jesus probably took a day with his disciples. He rested and was planning for what was to come with the Last Supper. How often do you rest? Do you take a day, a weekend, a week? What do you take each month for rest? What do you take for rest? How do you reset? How do you refresh yourself? How do you revive yourself? How do you plan for what's coming if you're constantly doing? You see, we learned so much here from Jesus in this last week about how he managed his time that can give us so much insight into how we manage and should manage our time. Now, let me just say this disclosure real quick. If you're not a person of faith, there's still much to learn. Jesus was one of the greatest leaders in history. Whether you agree that he was the Son of God and he was God come in the flesh and died for the sins of humanity or not, he's still one of the greatest leaders in human history. And you can learn so much about leadership from him. And I'm not trying to push my belief onto you. I'm just telling you there's lessons to be learned from everybody in this world if we'll take time to look, listen, and learn. So today, let me encourage you. Let me empower you. Take these time management strategies, techniques that Jesus used in his last hours and days and week on this earth and implement them into your life. If it was important for him to make sure that he took time to rest, took time to spend with those he loved, took time for other people, took time to work for what God's purpose for his life was on this earth, and then also took time to spend with God. If he did those 5 things in his last week, how much should you and I do them every week? I hope this has been a help. This is the show, the Soulution Live Show, where we take you from struggle to success so that you can live the rest of your life as the best of your life. And I want you to know that I want you to be blessed, and I'm praying for your success. Have a great day, my friend.